Today on Free Field Training, we're going to be addressing a question that I get all the time on my duty belt videos. There's one right up there, and I'll probably put a couple more in the links down in the description as well. And the question is, why do I use a Glock 35? Now, I have a whole video, why cops use 40, up there, that you can check out why I'm kind of stuck using 40 caliber in my department. If you're a cop now, I'm assuming you can guess at this point. But if not, click that up there. Long story short is, policy and the ammo that we had wasn't really up to snuff for several uses at the department, and I was kind of stuck with it. But I'm thinking about going to a Glock 34, and people, for some reason, get very upset at this, saying that there's no reason to use the tactical, practical Glock for law enforcement work or security work because it's too much. It's overkill. Why would you need that? What advantages does it have? And I would say, primarily, it has several. One being that it's an actual full-size, duty-size pistol. And then people lose their minds. That's not a full-size, duty-size pistol. A duty-size pistol is a Glock 17 or a Glock 22. That's a normal duty-size pistol right there. Look, it's shorter, and it's lighter, and it makes more sense. You don't need anything more than that, and to that I say, it's really not. This is about the same weight, and it's about the same size once you put a weapon light on the gun. And if you put the same weapon light on each of these, if I put a Glock 22 and a Glock 35 right next to each other with a TLR2 on it, or a Surefire X300 on it, the difference in size depends on which light I put on. If I put a Surefire X300 on the 22 and a TLR2 on the Glock 35, the 22 is actually overall longer than the 35 because the weapon light is what's making a difference between the sizes of the two guns. One is significantly longer than the other. By significantly, I mean maybe a quarter to a half an inch. And we're going to see a lot of maybe a quarter to a half an inch in this video. The 35 versus the 22, everybody looks at that because, or the 34 versus the 17, everybody looks at those because they say, oh, it's longer, it's the tactical model, and you don't need that. It's my department just uses the 22 or the 17. I don't see any reason why you'd want more than that. And to them I say, well, if you don't want more than that, you don't want to be more accurate than you are now, you don't want to be able to point shoot easier, you don't want to be able to track the front sight easier, then go ahead. You do you, boo. But in reality, this is just a normal duty-sized pistol. The weights on them are absolutely no different from each other. They both come in at about the same weight when they're unloaded, and of course, both of these are unloaded. The big difference, though, is when we start talking about something like a Glock 21, which no one even thinks twice about being a duty pistol. But when we look at the Glock 21, we start saying, oh, well, you know, it's just the 45 caliber full-size pistol, right? And when you put it side by side with the 35, you find that it's maybe a quarter to a half an inch longer when you put the slides, the rear sights end to end, or line the slides up on the back. It's essentially the same size pistol, except the 21 is thicker and maybe slightly heavier. Nobody bats an eye at the 21, but everybody freaks out at the 35. And again, the major difference between the lengths of these two guns are going to be what light we decide to mount them on. Anything with the X300U is going to be a little longer. Anything with the Streamlight TLR1 or TLR2 is going to be a little shorter. So the overall length of the light is really more important to the length of the pistols than the slide length and barrel length on these. So let's take it back and look at it historically. If we look back at what a duty-sized pistol has been over the years, the 21 is a relative newcomer in the grand scheme of things, and luckily I'm an aficionado of old pistols. So I have here my Smith 686 4-inch. Let's line the butts up together and see which one is, oh, that's significantly longer. Anybody would say that's significantly longer. With the butts lined up, and if we take it from tip of the barrel, line those up, and then the back of the frame of the revolver and the slide on the Glock 35, they're pretty much dead on the exact same length. The big difference, of course, is we step up technology and our weights have dropped a bunch. That's unloaded. So your 686, as much as I love the 686, it's just significantly heavier, and it's about the same size, except, you know, it's a whole boatload thicker. Let's look back historically again. A Browning high power. I don't think anybody would say a Browning high power is a particularly crazy duty size pistol. Right? And then let's take a look at how it stacks up when you put it next to a Glock 35. Let's put back of frame to back of frame. You got maybe a half an inch extra on the Glock 35. But if we take it from backstrap to backstrap there, about the same size gun. Oddly enough, duty size pistols seem to be all about the same size, and they're the size of this. So in conclusion, in reality, it is not I who is using a crazy large gun. It's just that everyone else in law enforcement seems to have followed the trend of carrying pistols that 50, 60 years ago would have been considered compact. And so I get the advantage of a little extra velocity and a little extra sight radius and maybe a slightly better trigger and some slightly easier to manipulate controls. And I think all of you carrying around your department issued Glock 17s, Glock 22s are just kind of jealous. Thanks for sticking around this long. I'm sure that has pissed off a whole bunch of people, probably firearms instructors at places that I don't really care about. But that's my take on it. I don't think this is a particularly crazy pistol to be carrying around at work. I'm a cop full-time. I switched from the 22 to the 35 a few years ago because I wanted to get every little bit I could out of the ammunition that we're using at work, and that's the best that Glock had at the time. Honestly, if they had a long slide, if they still made a 17L and they'd made it in 40 caliber, I probably would have used that. And if I could find a 17L today and a holster to go with it and all the accoutrement, I could get a Gen 5 Glock 17L. I would probably buy it and use it for duty because this long slide version of the Glock duty pistols has served me exceptionally well. Till next week, you guys be safe. Take care of each other. Hey, thanks for watching Free Field Training on YouTube. And while you're here, why don't you check out some of these other goofy videos that I've made? Or you could subscribe or maybe go over to Patreon and see how you get your name put on the videos like these fine folks over here. All the links are, of course, down in the description. We'll see you guys next time. I still really like the 686, though. That's a good honking old man gun.